How's everyone doing today?
Good, good.
Hey.
Good,
Hey,
good,
everyone.
good. McFly, if it's okay with you, it's about 5 minutes after. Can I get this rolling?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to bring more people here. I'll just make the introduction, and we can start with Leo after.
Okay, awesome. So good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, or good evening, wherever you guys are checking in from. My name is Whipper, and I am a crypto enthusiast as well as a 88 MPH community volunteer. Thank you for joining our call. We have a very exciting call set up. We've got two exciting teams joining us. We've got the C.R.E.A.M and Ichi team. Thank you guys for joining us. We are going to ask both teams to start with an introduction, and after that, we will move on to some updates with regards to the C.R.E.A.M and Ichi teams, and then we're going to talk about some updates that are happening here at 88 MPH, and then we're going to open up to Q&A. I do want to mention that we will be rewarding and incentivizing the best question with $100 worth of 88 MPH in rewards. So there's going to be $300 worth of 88 MPH in total, $100 of rewards per project. So, and depending on the best question. So anyone who asks the best question for the C.R.E.A.M project would win $100 worth of 88 MPH, and whoever asks the best question with regards to the Ichi project, again, $100 worth of 88 MPH, and then finally, when we get to Q&A, anyone who asks the best question for 88 MPH would also be incentivized with $100 worth of 88 MPH tokens. And without further ado, I am going to pass it off, I guess, to Leo. If you want to start, that'd be great.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me, folks. And it's a pleasure being here talking to folks in the industry. I think we're thinking about having something similar to this, having more community calls and various structures to better engage. And I think this is great. It's good to meet everybody here. And so my name is Leo Chang. I am one of the team members at C.R.E.A.M Finance, and we are a lending protocol that I think we focus more on the long tail assets of the lending side of things. So we enable individuals as well as protocols to access lending across three different EVM compatible platforms. So Ethereum mainnet in two places, one on yearn.fi/lend and another one at app.cream.finance, and then one place on Phantom as well as Binance Smart Chain. So 4 different places across, twice on the Ethereum mainnet and then once on BSC and FTM. We are part of the Yearn Finance ecosystem, focusing on the lending part. And our goal is to drive capital efficiency for while meeting the lending needs of individual institutions and protocols. So far, from a number standpoint, we have approximately almost $1 billion of TVL, but we don't really focus on TVL that much because we tend to optimize for actual utilization rate. So we have one of the highest utilization rates in the industry currently, because the way we look at it is if you have a bank that has a lot of money and nobody's using it, it's really not that interesting nor useful. So and I think, yeah, love to help folks here understand more about C.R.E.A.M, what we've been up to, what's different, what's new, what's keeping us safe and safer, and then how we can potentially work together, specifically having some of the liquidity from 88 MPH to link into C.R.E.A.M, and that should happen fairly easily given that we are a fork of Compound. So that backend integration should be super simple. Yeah, if there's anything else deeper we should get into, I'm happy to discuss further, but at the same time, I think I just maybe stop there and then folks can ask questions, or I can talk about the other stuff later.
No, that's totally perfect. Maybe we can also get an introduction from the Ichi team now. I'm not sure who wants to go from there.
Yeah, it seems like Masa may not be on at the moment, so I can definitely take it. So thanks team for having us on here. Really excited to speak a little bit about Ichi. So I'll start off by saying Ichi is really a self-sustaining community-governed platform, and what we do is we basically provide the ability for crypto communities to be able to have their own in-house non-custodial one token. These one tokens are basically stable coins that are valued at $1. And what we really do is we want to be a stable coin that helps provide value to crypto communities rather than take away value from them, which we've seen a lot of other stable coins do. What this means is we create a stable coin that's basically backed by a community scarce token as well as some kind of underlying stable coin. And we allow for basically communities to build out their own economies and allow them to take that stable coin and implement any kind of features they want based on certain guidelines that we provide, and allow for companies to for crypto communities to really build out that infrastructure and that economy. So excited to be here, excited to talk a little bit more about Ichi and how we function and what we do and how we can work with the 88 MPH community to build out either a one token for them or to really partner with them and build out the infrastructure that can really help the 88 MPH community thrive. So yeah, excited to be here and happy to take some questions and hear a lot more about everyone's interesting projects.
I have a question. If MPH and Ichi were to make a coin, would it be one MPH?
Yes, exactly. That's what it would be called. It would be backed by collateral.
They would be
by
called
both.
one Monero. Nice.
Yes, sure.
That's awesome. Thank you for that Ichi introduction. I'd like to take it back to C.R.E.A.M for a little bit. Can you just let our listeners know what sort of updates are sort of happening on the horizon right now, just to sort of bring us up to speed? We'd love to hear of some new and exciting things that are happening. And then I'll take it over to Ichi to ask them the same thing. And then after that, we're going to see how these sort of communities can actually tie in with one another with the 88 MPH protocol. I'll go back to you, Leo.
Okay, great. So I think this is the challenge here always is, yeah, keeping your community updated. And for us, we've been busy heads down building, and I think we're pretty proud of some of the updates we've made. So let me just start sharing some of these things. One thing is the Iron Bank continues to grow. So just today, actually, our Iron Bank partner Alpha Homora V2 relaunched today, and I think they picked up roughly so it's part of our protocol, the protocol lending system. So I think what makes C.R.E.A.M unique here is that we have this as part of the Yearn ecosystem. We have this protocol lending that allows for whitelisted protocols to have under collateralized or uncollateralized loan taken from the Iron Bank, which puts to an additional layer of utilization. So as part of the focus on capital efficiency. So to be more specific, if you look on the supply side, so generally the lending market is, people that put money in, and then sometimes people who borrow that, right? So people or protocols. And in our case, other than individuals, Curve also supplies into our Iron Bank on yearn.fi/lend. And in addition to that, other supply partners include the Yearn Vault themselves. If they don't have high enough of returns, they could potentially be switching over to the Iron Bank. And then Alpha Homora, as I mentioned earlier, and individuals and other protocols may be supplying into the Iron Bank. And this is the area which 88 MPH would be partnering with us, whether it's depositing in the Iron Bank or depositing into the C.R.E.A.M V1, which has a higher yield, so that's but also lower volume. So across more of a long tail assets, which I guess you guys won't be touching necessarily for now. And on the borrow side, we also have Yearn Vaults and Strategies borrowing, and we have Alpha Homora borrowing for using some of this capital. And then we don't quite plan on adding anybody new to that just yet. But in terms of the updates, on the security side, we just rolled out somewhat quietly our collateral cap feature. Our main difference between with us versus Aave and Compound is the fact that we serve a very long tail of assets. So in this pooled lending market, the biggest then weakness or security challenge potentially is the smallest, least secure asset. Possibly there's some kind of attack there, like Infinity Mint, etc. But this is what the collateral cap feature, which we're very excited about, brings in for security, which allows for um, tokens to be capped at how much of the token could be used as collateral. Meanwhile, not limiting how many of the token could be deposited. So, for example, if I have token X that we want to, um, you know, that has maybe good value but low decentralized liquidity, then we may end up um, basically so assigning something like 5 million units can be used for collateral. Anything after that can't. In addition to the security side, we have updated our profile on DeFi safety. So we have like a score of 83 on there, which is anything above 70 is a passing one, an acceptable one. So we're a bit past that now. And then from an audit standpoint, we've done a trail of bits, and then we recently also brought up a Immunify bounty at 1.5 million that caps out there. So our new security focus has been great, I think. And then also outside of security, we started down the path of validator nodes. So on the Ethereum part, we have staked C.R.E.A.M, so C.R.E.A.M ETH2, that allows users to also use as collateral. So we're now rolling out validator nodes across Binance Smart Chain as well as Phantom soon, and that will allow we're deploying this week, so that'll be allowing our user community to also stake in those nodes. So I think that actually is probably less applicable here to the community. And then lastly, we have
What would they be able to stake on these nodes?
oh BNB. So you could take your BNB in your wallet and then stake it on our validator node to help part of the decentralization of Binance Smart Chain. Currently, Binance Smart Chain is just being really overwhelmed right now with traffic. So APY right there has been pretty insane, anywhere from 20 to 40 plus percentage. So right now, I think this past week has been around 40 some percentage. Phantom side's a bit lower, and it's about, I think, 18% or so on FTM. So just like staking for ETH2, where you would get more ETH, in this case, you would be on the BSC and the Phantom side getting more Binance Smart Chain BNB tokens, as well as FTM tokens natively on the Phantom chain.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, UI side, pretty exciting. I think we originated with a very fun UI that has like a GTA feel, and it's been a bit long overdue to feel a little bit more grown up as the rest of the industry is moving closer to institution. So I think pretty soon, next week, you'll see our new UI roll out, and we're pretty excited about that. So no new UI, lots of security features, including collateral cap, more action on the markets at the Iron Bank today, and then also across our other deployments on Phantom and Binance Smart Chain.
Leo, that's amazing. Sounds
Thank
very,
you.
very exciting, and appreciate the updates there. I'm going to pass it along to the Ichi team now, if they just sort of want to update us on some of the latest developments happening there too, and then we'll kick it back to 88M MPH, and then we'll get started with some of the questions that I'm sure everyone's eager to start with.
Great.
Hey, thanks, Whipper. Can we actually have, we want to add some more of the community members from Ichi on here who can speak a little bit more broadly on all of our developments. It'd
Yeah,
be
for
great if you
sure.
could, yeah, could you
McFly.
add, oh, yeah.
Yeah, just tell McFly who you want to add, and he'll put it through. I was having an issue adding you guys for some reason.
No problem. Yeah, could you add Brian in the chat, and then Adam, his name is Adam Moon Rocks here. Yeah, Brian just raised his hand. Adam just raised his hand.
Yeah. I think I will be able to speak. both.
Ian is here, but he's not speaking.
McFly, did you add Brian?
Yeah, both
Okay,
of
perfect.
them. But maybe Brian's stuck in the middle of something. Sometimes buggy this feature, so maybe
Yeah.
Brian, if you hear us, can you request again, and I will add you again there. But meanwhile, guys, don't hesitate to start, and I will
Yeah,
try to
anyone
add you
from the
again.
Ichi team, if you want to continue while we are waiting. Brian, first.
We lost you there completely.
Yeah, your internet's not so good, bro. So he's asking if you would like to go ahead and kind of give a lowdown on anything that's coming up for Ichi Farms. If you aren't capable, if you'd like to wait for the community members, that's fine. We can move on.
Yeah, sure. I think I could kind of start off till we get Brian on because
I think I got
There
it
we
now.
go.
Oh, there he
Yeah.
is. There he is.
Yeah, sorry for the miscommunication. We thought that Ichi was starting at 1:30 and C.R.E.A.M was going first, so a couple of us were trying to get a few more things done. But thanks first of all for having us on, and it's an honor to speak to all of you with C.R.E.A.M. Ichi, I just kind of revisit the intro. Ichi is a unique problem to this whole disconnect between stablecoin farmers who collect these governance tokens as yield and the people who actually hold the governance tokens and hope their protocol will be successful. And I said disconnect, and many people may not see it as that, but this time a year ago, stablecoins were being used. USDC had been around 2 or 3 years. Tether had been around about the same amount of time. Same with DAI, but they weren't growing incredibly fast. Stablecoin usage began growing incredibly rapidly with the launch of Compound's liquidity incentives, the launch of the comp token, and then C.R.E.A.M. I mean, you guys have been fantastic at even accelerating that further, allowing even more and more tokens to participate in rewarding people with C.R.E.A.M tokens. But these stablecoin farmers, they love to just deposit these stablecoins and collect the governance token and sell it. And you don't get to take risk out of a system. So if you think of this as one huge system and they're getting fantastic low risk yields, the risk is falling to the holders of the C.R.E.A.M token, of the comp token, the MPH token, and it's just getting transferred there. So there's this misalignment where one group wants more and more and more and more yield, wants more and more of the return and less of the risk. And another group governing the protocol takes on all the risk and hopes to make a business out of it in the future. Meanwhile, Coinbase goes public, Tether's huge. These two companies are just capturing all of DeFi. So Ichi sets all that aside and enables each project to create their own stablecoin. And that stablecoin will lock up their governance token. It will remove it from circulation, and it will help offset the cost of those rewards that drive adoption. So it is actually the way that these projects are going to move forward as they begin to get their own stable unit of account powered by their scarce crypto. You don't have to. We already know crypto is great for hodling. Now it can be great for USD exposure and real business. So that's the mission of Ichi. But like all new models, it takes a little bit of time to develop trust. We started in November. We had our own learning curve. We launched with 5 different communities. We've gotten to around $40 million of total value locked as of our last weekly metrics. It's grown steadily. And we expanded the team. We're now at 15 core team members. We have better VC backing, and we have exciting updates coming up for the protocol itself. But yeah, we we don't really share roadmaps, so we'll have to wait and see how that what that results in. So again, Ichi's proven that the model works. It's proven that crypto communities can govern all aspects of money. They don't have to rely on other communities to provide price stability. They can control their money completely, and we're happy to help both MPH and C.R.E.A.M.
So really, really awesome, kind of awesome initiative on that. I think that's a really, really great. I've got kind of question. Could you have a governance token for a lending protocol, for example, C.R.E.A.M, and could you use C.R.E.A.M as the backing to mint your own one C.R.E.A.M? And then,
Exactly. Yes,
and then
exactly right.
potentially
That's what it's intended
you
for.
could offer a lending market for one C.R.E.A.M, and then you could deposit one. Anyways, yeah. You see
So
my point.
exactly. So if you take the raw deal that C.R.E.A.M and Compound get from Tether and USDC, it works a little like this. I know on Compound, I don't know on C.R.E.A.M, I haven't looked at the totals, but on Compound, there's $3 billion of locked stable coins last I checked, and it sounds like from what Leo said, they're getting close to $1 billion, if not above it. And that locked value benefits those companies. It doesn't benefit the holders of the C.R.E.A.M governance token. It's a huge business, and it kind of makes sense that it started that way. But what's really neat now is that the same innovation that made liquidity farming possible, you know, the AMMs and the liquidity farming itself, which brought these coins into, you know, it increased the circulating supply of Tether and USDC to this enormous level, 64 billion versus maybe 6 billion a year ago. That same innovation made Ichi's model possible. Like, you could not have built Ichi prior to being able to trade $10 million of stablecoin slippage, almost slippage free. But now that that's possible, you can build Ichi and you can enable people to govern a scarce, with their scarce cryptocurrency, they can govern a stable currency that works just like USDC or USDT. And when I say just like, there's an important property. Those stable coins are minted and redeemed for exactly $1. There is no liquidation risk. When you go and you mint a USDC, you don't have to monitor a debt position that may liquidate you, right? You just bought a coin for $1, and when you're done with it, you turn it back in for $1. Ichi works like that, and you could not have made that prior to liquidity farming, and liquidity farming created the huge need for it because this value is leaving your ecosystems and entering the pockets of the executives at Tether and USDC.
Sure. There's something. This brings up a question I think is a really interesting one, and obviously with the market being as it was today, it's on some people's minds. How does three projects that depend on large sums of money in terms of TVL? How do you guys? I'm asking this open question to anyone. You know, Leo, Brian, or McFly. How do you bull run proof or bear run proof your project? Because, like you said, with 64 billion as opposed to 6 billion, things function much nicer. But what if, you know, what if things change?
So in a bear market, there are a couple of questions. One is what happens to Ichi price? I don't know. You know, I actually don't know in the bull market. So should deal with somebody else on that. What happens with the stable coin is actually much more easy to answer. That rebalancing between the scarce crypto and the regulated fiat-backed stablecoin like USDC happens in the background. So as the crypto drops in price, there's a treasury reserve ratio that drops, and if the treasury reserve ratio hits a threshold, you go and take some of the scarce crypto and buy more you know, fiat-backed regulated stablecoin. That's why it really does rely on those liquidity pools to function. And in like a crazy scenario, like if we imagined the crypto going to zero, it would converge on being one-to-one backed by the fiat-backed stablecoin. So at the end of the day, it really does give you a guarantee that is better than USDC itself, because there's more value there backing it than with USDC itself. Plus, you can see the rebalancing occur and know at all times the Treasury reserve ratio.
Sure.
So it doesn't really impact the stability of the coin when you have a crypto bear market. But yeah, sure, people got to trade things. Maybe the price goes up and down.
I mean, I think for us, 2 points there as it relates to the bear market. I think we've been, we just did our second round of our treasury management within C.R.E.A.M. So, and I bring this up not exactly in the context that what we were talking about here earlier, but I am a bit paranoid about that front in terms of having gone through the crash at the end of 2017 and beginning of 2018. Seeing a lot of the projects go under because they end up staying long on the very highly volatile assets underneath it rather than being in stable coins. So we have made, as a protocol, C.R.E.A.M, about a little bit over 12 million bucks worth of fees so far to the protocol, and what we've done is turned roughly 8 to 9 million bucks of it into stable coins, and then have it earning yield across a few different places, mostly in the Yearn vaults. And so that's how we become bear market proof, because the team can self-sustain based on the treasury if we needed to on the protocol fees alone. That's actually, or rather on the interest generated today based on the protocol fees we've collected to date. So hypothetically speaking, if we don't collect any more protocol fees and we just burn the protocol fees in our treasury, we could persist for a while. Now that's really not the goal. The goal is to be. We're also launching a staked C.R.E.A.M program soon, similar to XSushi, so that we can return some of the value back to those token holders by way of market buying the token. But now on the other side of what happens in the bear market for C.R.E.A.M, the benefit here, I think, is that the lending markets work just the same. So while the valuation might be cratering, when that happens, more people will then be borrowing and shorting Ethereum and Bitcoin at that time than they would today. So today, what people are doing with C.R.E.A.M is mostly adding in Ethereum, Bitcoin, and other valuable assets, and then borrowing against it for tax efficiency, et cetera, rather than selling and create a tax event. Or they're using it to leverage long. We see a lot of people leveraging long, but in the event of a bear market, this thing would just go invert itself, and that people would be depositing stable coins and shorting Ethereum and Bitcoin possibly, or other assets instead. And then outside of a bear market type scenario, I think we've seen institutions as well as individuals collateralize their valuable assets and short some of the long tail assets that we've listed in our markets. And I think, that's roughly how a bear market can impact C.R.E.A.M.
Hey, one really interesting idea would be to go and we should put out an article on the top 5 projects for crypto bear market. I think C.R.E.A.M should be in that list. I think Ichi would be there. With Ichi, you're looking at the most stable, most over collateralized stable coin in the market. We compete against a lot of fad varieties that under collateralize or algorithmic in nature or centralized. And so I think I love building things and getting adoption in bear markets, because it really separates what's real from what's not. And I think demand for Ichi's model just increases with bear markets.
Yeah, actually, I was an early Ichi farmer way when you guys first launched, and I just remember the thing that stuck out to me, probably not the thing that you want most people to think about, maybe, but I just remember trying to think about this watering model and this irrigation thing that was like really confusing, and I was like, what's up with this thing? Like, I don't really understand it, so I just remember hitting it and then like burning gas, and I'm like, well, that didn't work. But anyway, I think you guys probably moved past that.
Yeah, that was the
good old days.
The idea, for those who weren't aware of it, is I had looked at, I didn't get into my background, but I used to work for Amazon. I ran a financial company for them within it, and around that time, I had been familiar with the first crypto bull market, and I kind of understood the ICOs, and I got looking closely at DeFi in the summer, and I just realized how complex it was. Like you combine these tokens and you deposit them here and there, and I thought the space is trending towards more complexity, not less. Therefore, people in the space love complexity. Let's see if we can turn liquidity farming itself into a massively multiplayer game, and invented a prime number game for liquidity farming called bumper crop farming. And yeah, people were obsessed for a period of time with trying to beat it until these we called them irrigation bots at the time, but somebody invented one that would submit Ethereum gas transactions in the tens of thousands of dollars and get a tip for doing so, and then dump on the market. So, yeah, very stressful time. We had to turn it off, but I kind of wish we could turn it back on and try again with a few more rules in place to stop the way the people gamed it the first time.
Yeah, that's probably too big brain for me. I tend to just, ape. I tend to just ape in the project. I mean, yeah, my own project, I certainly dig into a bunch of things, and certainly as well as our partners. But
well, I was wondering if you got better governance, if you made it a really hard problem to solve, if the people who ended up with the tokens would be smarter at governance. But I don't think we really got to see that play out. I think that the bots that abused it got most of the tokens. They dumped it. You didn't get good governance.
Well, for me, I think there's already kind of a lack of voter apathy is a thing, and so I think governance participation is challenging as is without additional hurdles. But I do think though that the idea of having, I think like the ancient Chinese had the prior to in the imperial days, you did have to kind of get together and take a test and sit for a test, and then depending on your standardized test scores, you got some kind of governance post. So
you have to do like 25, like 18 years of
that's right.
16 hours a day. You rewrite like 10 huge tomes of books into essays, and if you did it well, then you got it.
Right, you're either like the governor of the province or you're the janitor. I don't know, and then that's for the rest of your life.
Just everyone else. Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is optimizing for good governance is such a long-term strategy that you know when obviously in the short run you want to optimize for total value locked, and it's much easier to get higher total value locked if people can just ape in without thinking. So
yes.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't do it again. I just wish the world was different. You can't ignore the way the world is, and so I wouldn't do it again. But it was very idealistic and hopeful.
Well, I think.
Go ahead.
I was thinking that what you're saying about making sure governance is incentivizing governance and making effective governance. I think that's a really important thing. I mean, one thing that MPH does really well that I like is that you can only vote if you're staking, right? If you have your MPH and it's staking in liquidity, it's counted as like I can't remember the exact equation. It's not like double, but it's about 70% more value when you're staking it in liquidity as opposed to when you're just staking it in the protocol to be earning protocol fees. But you can't even just use the MPH in your wallet. You have to be staking it in order for it to be active for votes. I think this kind of putting some skin in the game is really important for governance voting. I think it's a relatively good barrier for entry. I mean, obviously solving prime number equations could be a good barrier, but
I want to open up the floor now, if possible, to the 88 MPH team here to update us on some of the latest updates, if there are any that they want to mention. And this has been a great conversation so far, at which we'll continue, and then we'll jump into some Q&As after.
Yep, sure. Just wanted to say thank you, Brian, and thank you, Leo, for bringing all these details, information, updates related to C.R.E.A.M and Ichi. And we definitely look forward to work with you guys. Just to update everyone here, the different way we can see a relationship between each project is from Ichi bringing a proposal to like open discussion with the community regarding the creation of one MPH. So there will be like probably something posted soon on the forum of 88MPH to start the whole conversation regarding that. So I definitely look forward regarding that. And for C.R.E.A.M, we are like mainly waiting the V3 to start working harder on how we can work with C.R.E.A.M. So like the way we can work with them is basically creating an adapter, creating fixed interest rate bonds directly via C.R.E.A.M, and see also like how we can discuss with the community to probably get listed MPH there. So that would be also a way of doing things. And there is definitely other way to like create synergy. So like the first iteration, I suppose, will be the adapters, creating some bonds there. And after like going deeper into how we can co-integrate all of that. So
Yeah, certainly
definitely
welcome.
exciting.
I was certainly welcome you guys to come in and propose adding MPH as well on MPH market on C.R.E.A.M, and then separately to that, it'd be great to get MPH liquidity into whether it's the Iron Bank on the lower risk side or C.R.E.A.M V1, which is more of the long tail assets leading to higher borrowing rates or supply rates.
Yep, definitely. And I suppose like it will be like in different stage of developments, like according to our progress with V3. But yeah, like just making the transition regarding what's going on with V3. So we are currently in the process of getting the final report of PeckShield regarding the V3 audits. Zephram sent the fixes a few days ago. They are under review right now, and we started today, we announced it today, the C4 community audit bounty with the bounty is 54,000 USD. So the way C4 community works is basically a community of auditors where everyone posts their finding into a private repo. Like the team and us, we review the different findings, and we see it's like kind of like evaluating them in terms of risk and see if it's worth a bounty. So we are doing that with C4 until May 19th, and we will probably do the same with Immunify in a few, like as soon as possible. But like we are already on Immunify, but we want to boost also the bounty there. The bounty I think right now is 42K, and we want to bump that like maybe a bit more to make it more attractive. So it's currently the focus on V3. The progress are mainly related to security, and I really like what you were saying, Leo, regarding like the way you handle security, and like you are basically a bank, and we are like more and more thinking about 88MPH as a bank also, in the way it's in the way it works, the internal mechanics, the way to make money with that. And like basically you want to be legitimate when you are a bank. So security is really a priority, making sure everyone can trust you and making sure everyone thinks that you can work even in a bear market. So that's really important for us. For these reasons, we don't want to rush the V3. We want really to make the focus on security, even if it's not the panacea. Like you can spend thousands and thousands of dollars into security, and it won't be 100% risk-free. But I think it's really important to show that to our community and making things really happen in backstage.
Yeah, I'm happy to also help with any share some of the experiences we've had working with Immunify and Armor, and DeFi safety, etc., and also some of the kind of additional features we built in if we could be helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think we will probably need some guidance regarding the way to attract the best mind, the best brain, like in C4 community, in Immunify. And you were mentioning DeFi safety. I think they posted something on us like a few
Yes.
weeks ago. But I need to look back into this kind of things because like it was happening a bit like that, but without any kind of like announcement from them. Like I wasn't like really following, so I need to get back into that, and maybe there is like good insights there. Also, we need to take a look back into that.
Yeah, you guys got a score of 79, and it looks like most of their knock on you was on testing. So I think you guys are doing a good job here.
Yeah,
DeFi safety
that's
review.
yeah, that's cool. So yeah, we need to get back there and like making sure that we can have something also for V3. And yeah, like really interested to talk more in deep, like with you, Leo, about that, the way to handle these kind of things, because I think like
Sure
we
thing.
have a lot of things to learn still. So yeah, the progress with V3, we will probably release soon the first security audit from PeckShield. And after like what need to be done, there is the UI. So we will publish a new UI, a more modern one. We will still keep the 80s vibes for a second mod, like a theme mod in the UI, but we will have like something closer to what you can have on Coinbase, Nexo, like basically the random UI you have on Web2. So that's one focus, and we'll try to make it simpler in terms of the primary product we have is the fixed interest rate. So we want to feature that more and making like a better hierarchy between each product and trying to simplify that for like people just looking for fixed interest rates, not like caring about like floating rate bonds, zero coupon bonds, or other stuff more complicated. So we'll try to get rid of all of that and bring something more like simpler in terms of UX. So that will be one focus, and Zephram is also working on the subgraph. Or maybe Zephram, you can directly present that, like if you have some updates regarding the progress in terms of developments.
Yeah. So for the subgraph, I'm planning to start like maybe today or tomorrow. And it shouldn't take too long. Like it's just gonna be like adapting the current V2 subgraph for V3. So it should not be too time consuming. And in the meanwhile, C.R.E.A.M is working on the new design for the user interface. And after we have that, we can basically just adapt the current front-end code base to the new design, and that should get us ready to launch like before next month for sure.
Yep. So yeah, that's the main updates from our part, guys. Uh, just wanted to have like 1 minute related to what we launched yesterday with Einstein coin. So for everyone, like if it wasn't clear, it's still a meme coin. We just wanted we saw what Bumpeg did while team was doing with their Wi-Fi stuff. So we thought it was like funny and cool to build that, and basically we built that in 24 hours and just launched that for fun. So there is no like, it's definitely not a product. It's just a meme coin. And the way it works basically is you deposit some MPH and you can mint a proportional amount of an Einstein token. And of course, you can redeem your MPH when you have the full amount in your wallet of Einstein. You can redeem your MPH for the same amount, basically. So it's really working the same way as what YM was doing, except that there is this ingredients of 24 hours to have the full amount in your wallet. And yeah, basically it's like a fun project and building something a bit different. And we have a real dog. Basically 88 MPH, the full project is just a meme. So it was like kind of a pity to don't capture this value and launch something like a dog coin, basically.
Something meme related, yeah, for sure. Just don't send half the
Yeah, basically a full meme related company.
Yeah. Should we take some questions from the community? I saw there was a couple on Telegram.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Thanks, Josh.
You want to go ahead and read them?
Yeah, how's everyone doing? I'm Steven with 88 MPH. We had a couple questions. One of them for MPH was, do we have any plans to integrate any algo stables like LUSD or FRAX?
We were like talking with Frax a few months ago, if I remember well.
Yeah,
definitely. Like the way we see V3, we want to be sure that what we will launch is working, secure. So we won't launch everything at the same time, but we will bring like more iteration on that during summer. Probably after Trail of Bits audit that will start July 17, and it will last until mid-August. So until August, we want to be sure that what we have is currently really a solid foundation before building on top of that to make sure that nothing bad happens. But after that, like definitely there is cool stuff to do with Frax, with other algorithmic coins, definitely. And like there is also D-Baseonomics, they are building new stuff. So we are really interested by these kind of things. And Frax is definitely a leading actor into all of that. So I really like their approach related to stablecoins.
Great, good answer. We had another question asking if there were plans on integrating fixed interest rates from V3 if C.R.E.A.M is successful on the Iron Bank. I believe you had already spoken on that, and the answer was there's a high probability once V3 is rolled out. Is that correct?
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, Zefram. I think we already have a C.R.E.A.M adapter ready. It's just that we need to deploy it.
Yeah, we already have an adapter.
Yeah, so it's just a question of launching all of that at the right time. So yeah, definitely exciting things that will come after V3, but yeah, just like we can't make everything happen at the same time.
Great. And then there was one more question, or another question I'd like for everybody, if Ichi or C.R.E.A.M or both of you want to answer this. What brings C.R.E.A.M, MPH, and Ichi together? C.R.E.A.M, you mentioned that there were interests in long tail assets, which MPH would fall into that category. Was there anything about 88 MPH that brought C.R.E.A.M and Ichi together with 88 MPH? And whoever wants to take that question.
Well, one thing is that I think that there are two use cases for stable coins. One is simply to, you need operational expenses. You need something worth $1. You need to, and I think that's really the space that USDT and USDC has filled, where you buy it for $1, you use it, when you're done with it, you put it back. There's another use case, which is you have a lot of crypto. You don't want to sell it all, but you need some dollar exposure, maybe in DeFi. Maybe you want to borrow against those holdings. And that's really where a platform like C.R.E.A.M helps. So if you made a 1 MPH, people may use it for, that as $1 in most situations, without C.R.E.A.M. But if they wanted to do that latter, where they go and they supply a bunch of MPH to C.R.E.A.M and then borrow against it, they may choose to borrow the 1 MPH because that reinforces the value of the MPH they supplied to C.R.E.A.M. So hopefully it organizes like that. I think it would be ideal for all involved. Just begin to take out the usage of USDC and USDT piece by piece.
Yeah, I think certainly the Ichi program is interesting to I think enable every project to have a stablecoin. For us, we have a variety of fairly popular stablecoins on our platform today that users can supply and borrow. And then on top of that, we're certainly open to evaluating some kind of Ichi-based, one token too. Should there be that kind of like support in our community, and specifically to MPH and C.R.E.A.M, 2 places to collaborate. First is the getting the MPH token onto C.R.E.A.M v1 on app.cream.finance on Ethereum, and should, as far as I know, I don't think you guys are on the other chains yet, but should you guys end up in BSC and Phantom or anywhere else we go, we can also explore the possibility of getting the MPH token there as well if you want to have markets there. But the other way to do it is also to have 88 MPH to be a supplier into these various markets, whether it's Iron Bank only or C.R.E.A.M v1 only, or both really, because they're actually 2 segregated liquidity pools. So in some ways it's like saying, well, we'll put some money in Compound, we'll put some money in C.R.E.A.M. It'd be the same as like we'll put some money in the Yearn lending thing that's run by C.R.E.A.M, and then there's the original C.R.E.A.M one with the long tail of assets, which generally has a higher interest rate payout. So for suppliers.
Yeah, and like definitely to add on top of what Leo and Brian were saying, definitely the use case we are looking for when we are like building partnership is finding money markets where we can extract good market rate and offer like also a good fixed interest rate to our users, and making sure that that thing is sustainable the long term, but we stay solvent for this kind of new bonds pools. So it's definitely important for us to build new pools, new bonds pools on kind of like protocol that were there not since the last 3 months, but like there since a long time, with like a good liquidity also is basically what we are looking for, like a good use rate. Making sure that the market rate we are extracting is created organically and not like artificially with like shoddy things or like things that are not sustainable on the long term. So we are really taking care of that. And maybe I was mentioning that in the last call, but we will soon have kind of digital twin of 88 MPH where we will be able to run like thousands of different simulations to make sure that we are not like doing any stupid things related to the way we are building 88 MPH or the way we are offering our interest rates. So that kind of thing we will incorporate also the way C.R.E.A.M is working, the way other lending protocol are working, in integrate all of that, mixing all of that into our digital twin to make sure that we can have like not reading the future, but at least having a better understanding of what we are currently doing. And if we change one thing, one ingredient, what are like kind of the potential effect, like the butterfly effect of all of that. So yeah, basically looking into partnership to have like better money market and also like better money market on other protocol, on other chains. So Binance chain is definitely something we are interested by. We are waiting basically V3 to be out before moving into other chains, but it's definitely something we think a lot about that. So we are like really eager to offer a better user experience by moving into this kind of chain. And we are really excited by the casing also, so we'll see.
I'm happy to also share some experience there in terms of our deployment in the Binance Smart Chain and Phantom as well. Plus, we're also looking at some of the other chains that we're building toward now, as I think Arbitrum and Moonbeam are looking super interesting to us as well. But definitely also McFly happy to share some information there.
Yep, definitely. I will go back to you on our chat on Telegram with more questions, and probably we can talk about that, or we can move forward with that. Yeah.
Yeah, happy to make intros too if you guys need some support from the folks running the chain themselves. They're actually very helpful.
Yeah, like we are already, like, just to give these details to everyone. We are already in contact with like the different projects, like the different chains we were mentioning. Why we didn't move there before? Because there wasn't a lot of liquidity there for building what we need for 88 MPH. So we were kind of waiting a bit to see how the ecosystem is evolving there, like, and not just building an empty basket of things there. So we were waiting to have like a better liquidity. I think things are starting to be really interesting on Phantom, Binance, of course, and Polygon. So it's really a good news for us. So when V3 is out, it's just a question of sometimes before, like, offering fixed interest rate there. And like, it's definitely a good news also if C.R.E.A.M is moving quicker there also.
Yeah, and once the integration is done on Ethereum, certainly if you when you launch across these other chains, we can easily plug into the C.R.E.A.M markets across these other pools, and we'll be right there with you.
Yeah, that's yeah, definitely interesting, and we will definitely need like this kind of market for making everything work as we want, definitely.
I've got a question for all three teams here. I know that a big narrative that's sort of a little bit unknown, but DeFi on Bitcoin is starting to pick up some steam, believe it or not. There is a very interesting project on the RSK network called Sovereign, and I'm not sure if anyone has heard of it yet, but basically within, like, I guess a month to a month and a half, they've basically seen an explosion of Bitcoin in the DeFi ecosystem. I think they've got something like 1,600 Bitcoin locked up right now, which is relatively small, but definitely something to take note of. I'm just curious what C.R.E.A.M 88 MPH as well as Ichi look for when making a deciding factor to look at another chain, and whether or not DeFi on Bitcoin is something that could potentially be looked at down the road.
We are looking closely at Sovereign, but like all things like that, it'll be their news to share, not ours.
Anything
Yeah,
from
I was gonna say, yeah, we already have a fairly robust Bitcoin-based DeFi ecosystem on Ethereum. So I'm not saying that in kind of a tongue-in-cheek Ethereum maxi kind of mode at all, as in any way, but it's just that most of your capital users and assets are today on Ethereum and some of these other EVM compatible layer ones, plus some of the Ethereum layer twos. So from our perspective, we're very practical about where we go, which again is the users, the assets, and the transactions first and foremost. But also, as McFly mentioned earlier, the infrastructure and the ecosystem need to be there as well, such as having indexers like the Graph and Covalent or a Gnosis multisig, as well as some kind of pegging of assets there. So certainly sovereign or anything else would be something we have on our roadmap to watch. But at the same time, today is just there's so many EVM compatible layer ones and layer twos that it would behoove us to deploy across more of those chains than it would be to maybe I know a little bit more about Solana, the fact that they're written in Rust, so like we would probably not want to do that, for example, or rewrite it in a way that's compatible to Sovereign prior to launching on those other chains that are EVM compatible.
Yep, like the same thinking is definitely a question of like I'm thinking about like the way everything is evolving right now, like since like the end of last year with the layer 2 narrative, the sidechains, and Ethereum 2.0. It's kind of like when, like in 2010, when there was this thing with the different mobile OS, and you were asked as a developer, as like a product manager, where you want to build your thing, where you want to build your business. Basically, everyone was first trying to build where there was the maximum of money to do. Like, so it was iOS. After it was like Android, and after everyone was trying to get on Windows OS. But at the end, there is just one or two right now where you can really make business, Android and iOS. So I think if you have the bandwidth for building on all these different layer 2 solutions, these different chains, like it's good for you, but I suppose your team will need to like make sure that they spend their energy into the right thing. So we kind of are cautious with that because we are a small team, and like we want first like to make sure everything is well built on Ethereum, and after like working with partners, like basically if C.R.E.A.M is moving into one chain, and we think that C.R.E.A.M is the best for our bonds pools and the best for like basically making money for everyone into 88 MPH. We will move forward with them and on this other chain, but like it's definitely something like we don't want to build on any possible chain because like basically it's a waste of time, and like you need the market there, you need the tools, so everything is fairly new. And for example, last week the firm was trying to build something on zk sync with like basically replicating Uniswap v2 on zk sync, and maybe the firm you can tell us your story with like in terms of tooling, like in terms of everything that need to be still not there building things. So it's kind of a bit cumbersome right now to build like on other tools, but like it's probably getting better month after month.
Yeah, definitely. Like for ZK Sync, the dev support is not really there in terms of the tooling. Like they use their specialized Rust-like language called Zinc. So I tried writing a smart contract in that language, and like it's just so much worse than writing Solidity, which I don't think it's going to be an issue once they launch their 2.0, because they're going to have like a Solidity support, which hopefully, I mean, will mean that they will be able to support all the existing dev tooling available to Solidity developers. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's something that's related to what y'all were talking about is there's like a Curve's approach to launching on multiple chains is pretty interesting. I think they just delegated to another team. They there's this project called Ellipse or something that basically cloned Curve on BSC, and they basically have like the official support of the Curve team, and they have like their own token, which some of which is airdropped to the current Curve holders, and I think that's an interesting way to launch on different chains without spreading the development effort too thin. Yeah.
That's a really good point, actually. I agree wholeheartedly about that. I agree.
That is a really, really good point. And probably Daniel listening in, he's in charge of Ichi's efforts on other platforms right now, and deciding between that curve style model or something that where one team is responsible for all is a decision that we're just trying to weigh through protocol by protocol right now. I do think Ichi is an interesting position compared to the other two projects because stable coins are one of the first DeFi elements to happen, and so we don't feel like we can wait until the whole ecosystem is developed, or you're kind of facing that same situation you are right now on Ethereum, where two companies control all the stable coins. So we want to be quick, but the best way to be quick while also not creating a huge centralized team is a challenge.
Brian, question for you on that. Do you ever have any concerns with regards to, you mentioned two of the largest companies holding, majority of the stable coins, USDT and USDC. Are there any ever concerns with regards to regulation and if they could, pause anything on chain and how that would affect, not only Ichi, but, even like protocols like C.R.E.A.M and like we're Compound, where all these stable coins or even Maker, any thoughts on any of that?
Yeah, I think it's a huge risk to the entire space. Certainly, if they did that, if they blacklisted DeFi addresses, Ichi would be included today, and it would greatly hurt Ichi, just like the other two projects here. Ichi's vision, though, is actually massively over collateralized stablecoins. Most projects in the space have huge treasuries of largely idle crypto, and the idea would be that they could govern that crypto with a wallet that is fueling an Ichi stablecoin just as easily as how they govern it today. Either way, it remains their wallet, their crypto, their community, but they could fuel a stablecoin that largely isn't dependent on USDC or USDT. And you only have enough of the latter around for short-term redemptions. So if people need to exit to fiat, they turn in the Ichi stablecoin 1-to-1 for a USDC, and then they go to the website of Centra and get them to put $1 in their bank account. It's basically an off-ramp instead of where you store all the value. We think all the value should be stored in crypto, not in these companies' bank accounts.
Leo, what about you? Any thoughts on what would happen if there was a blacklisting event?
Yeah, then surprise, surprise, USDT continues to lead. I mean, it's kind of tongue in cheek, but also not really factually. The USDT is 70%, and I'll tell you that having moved from San Francisco to Taipei, what I'm seeing is that there seems to be this, love to hate USDT across North America and Europe, while the rest of the world seems to be perfectly fine with it. Much of trade finance is settled in Tether. We're okay dealing with Tether. If you go to the yearn.fi TVL comparison, what you'll see is that we very much honor Tether as a token. I mean, I'm not. I don't want. I don't mean that I don't like USDC. I just think that the hate for Tether is exaggerated, and that the fact that Coinbase just added Tether on their service to me means that North America is finally coming around. We're not trying to be like specific to which token quite we should support. We want to support the stable coins that people want to use. So if a stable coin that makes it in the marketplace is one that exists today, great. If it's not, we'll be happy to add a market for one that dominates in the future. Also that I mean, personally now speaking, I do think it's healthy for tokens for stable coins to have some level of provide some level of choice for the user in terms of which jurisdiction gets to control. So far, most of the stablecoins today are under the control of the United States government, much like that of the rest of the financial system. You know, fintech like TradFi, DeFi, whatever. So it is helpful to have other alternatives to something that's completely controlled by the U.S. government that can shut it down. Now, just to be clear, though, too, that USDT does have a blacklist function as well. So I think from that standpoint, it's like, do you believe in a U.S. government-controlled stablecoin, and are you more fearful of the U.S. government shutting you down and snooping your activities, or vice versa? Are you then, on the other hand, more afraid of this group of OG cypherpunks that run Tether? So I guess those are your choices.
Great options.
Brian, doesn't Ichi 1 tokens eventually become less dependent on the centralization of those stablecoins over time as the treasury grows?
Yeah, there are two possible paths there. One is let's call it the completely organic path, which means you're paying in $1 of value, you're getting back a stable coin, which means you're going to need to keep a lot of stable coins on hand for redemption, or you're just going to take on too much risk. That was the treasury reserve ratio I talked about. Under that path, it takes either an amazing crypto bull market or a long time to become, where you're mostly not dependent on USDC or USDT. Like that's just the reality of how the assets move and how they grow in value. But there is another path where those projects they basically switch some or all of their treasury management to the stablecoin contract, and they deposit to that contract without minting more stablecoins, more dollar liabilities. In that case, they could move a process that might otherwise take years and change it into days.
Cool. I guess it's time that we can open up to the rest of the audience. If anyone has any questions, just go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll bring you in if there are any.
If we don't get one here in a couple minutes, I have a question about V3, but we'll give some time for the audience to come on.
Maybe while we wait, maybe go ahead, Stephen, with the question, and
Yeah,
we can answer that after.
So Guy from Glenroe had a question on Telegram. He said, can you expand on the MPH staking in V3? There was talk about it being similar to X Sushi, so maybe that's what X MPH is. Assume then X MPH can be used elsewhere. But there's also been a lot of noise about Sushi's new O Sushi token. Is that something to consider mimicking?
Yeah, I can talk more about that. So X MPH is very similar to X Sushi, basically. Like it's an auto compounding yield generating MPH. And we would basically direct all of our protocol income to the X MPH contract. there is like one difference between XMPH and X Sushi, which is for X Sushi, the way to distribute rewards is to just send more sushi to the contract, which could be vulnerable to someone like depositing a large amount immediately before the reward distribution and then immediately withdrawing, thereby like getting a large amount of the reward. So like XMPH has a kind of linear vesting of the rewards. So it's going to be like somewhat similar to what we have now, where like there's a distribution event every so often, and the reward gets linearly unlocked to the current stakers. Regarding the O sushi stuff, that definitely looks interesting. Like I think the V curve model has been really successful for curve. And given that MPH is also like an emission based project, I think it's something that we can consider down the line. Although right now our focus is getting V3 out the door. Uh, uh, like maybe there could be an OMPH somewhere down the line. Yeah.
Thank
Steven,
you.
were there any more questions coming in from the TG?
There was a question sort of regarding the solvency risk mitigation about MPH, but I answered that directly in the chat.
Okay, awesome. Anyone else from the audience have anything that they want to ask or add?
There actually was another question about what a C.R.E.A.M adapter was, but I'm just going to send him a Medium article from C.R.E.A.M Finance.
Sweet. Okay, guys. I guess if there aren't any other questions, we can wrap this up. I would like to thank C.R.E.A.M and Ichi for coming on to our community call. We learned so much. There's a lot of exciting things looks like that lies ahead, and we'd love to somehow integrate each other's projects, and I'm sure that we will. And yeah, if there's anything else anyone wants to add, please do so. Otherwise, thank you guys very much for joining our call.
Yeah, thanks, Whipper. And thanks, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, everyone.